You cut your life in half on purpose. Not because you are broke, not because somebody forced you, because you decide that for 6 months you will live on only half your salary. And the uncomfortable truth is this: the first thing that disappears may not be comfort. It may be the illusion that you were ever in control. The delivery apps, the subscriptions, the tiny "I deserve it" purchases, the panic when your car makes a strange sound. This is not punishment. It is survival training for a modern world built to make spending feel normal. 6 months is not a budget challenge. It is a reality check. By the end of this video, you will understand why living on half your income can change more than your bank balance. It can change your habits, your fear, and your definition of enough. Most people assume financial freedom begins when they earn more, but sometimes it begins when you prove you need less. Picture the first payday. Your full salary arrives. Then, almost immediately, half of it leaves your reach. It goes into savings, debt repayment, or a separate account you do not touch. What remains has to cover your actual life for roughly 26 weeks. Food, housing, transport, bills, unexpected problems. The experiment is simple. The feeling is not. Researchers at the Federal Reserve reported that 63% of U.S. adults said they could cover a hypothetical $400 emergency expense with cash or its equivalent in 2024. At first, that number may sound reassuring. Then you realize the other 37% may need to borrow, sell something, delay a bill, or find another way through. Then the experiment stops looking extreme. It starts looking like preparation. Your first discovery is usually painful. You did not have one spending habit, you had dozens. At first, they look harmless. A coffee here, a late-night order there, a subscription you forgot existed. Then you track every dollar for a week, and the pattern appears. Your money was not only buying things, it was buying speed, convenience, relief from boredom, and relief from stress. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has found that people who report not saving are more likely to report difficulty paying bills across income groups. That does not mean every spender is irresponsible. It means habits matter when life gets expensive. And now you can finally see yours. But seeing the leak is not the same as sealing it. The second discovery is even stranger. Your lifestyle has a floor. At first, you think cutting spending means cutting joy. Then you realize much of your spending was not joy at all. It was automatic. Researchers studying savings behavior have found that systems can matter as much as willpower. Automatic transfers, separate accounts, and deliberate barriers can help people save because they reduce the number of moments when you have to negotiate with yourself. So you build friction. You wait 24 hours before non-essential purchases. You delete saved card details. You bring food from home. You make a list before entering a store. Nothing dramatic happens. That is the twist. Your life does not collapse. The old impulse simply loses some of its power. But soon, the challenge becomes emotional. The third discovery is that money has been carrying more fear than you knew. The American Psychological Association reported that money was a significant source of stress for 63% of adults in its 2023 survey. At first, you may think the fear comes only from having less. Then you realize uncertainty can be worse than a smaller number. When every dollar has a job, your brain stops asking, "Can I technically buy this?" It starts asking, "What happens if something goes wrong next week?" That question can feel heavy. But it can also make you sharper. You notice how often ads try to turn discomfort into a purchase. You notice how often comparison makes ordinary life feel inadequate. And you begin to understand the difference between wanting relief and needing something. Then comes the hardest part. The fourth discovery is social. At first, you think this experiment happens in your bank account. Then you realize it happens at restaurants, birthdays, group trips, and casual conversations. You say no to something. Someone jokes that you are being cheap. You see friends buying things without checking prices. You feel behind. Researchers and consumer advocates warn that a financial shock can become lasting debt when there is little savings available, especially if credit fills the gap. So your half-salary rule becomes more than a number. It becomes a boundary. You learn to suggest cheaper plans. You learn to say, "That is not in my budget this month." You learn that embarrassment often lasts minutes. Debt can last much longer. And that brings you to the moment that changes everything. Imagine your phone screen glowing with a sale you would normally take. Imagine the urge to spend rising because you had a difficult day. Imagine closing the app anyway. What are you really protecting when you do that? Not just money. You are protecting future choices. Maybe an emergency fund begins to grow. Maybe a credit card balance starts shrinking. Maybe you finally see a number in your account that is not already promised to someone else. We cannot know exactly how any individual 6-month experiment will unfold because income, debt, housing costs, family needs, and health needs are different for everyone. But the financial principle underneath is solid. A cash reserve can reduce the need to rely on debt after an unexpected expense. Then comes the hopeful part. You do not have to do this alone. You tell a partner what the goal is. You cook with friends instead of going out. You trade expensive entertainment for walks, games, libraries, free events, and conversations that cost nothing. You ask for help when the numbers do not work. Cooperation is still one of humanity's greatest weapons. Honestly, I think this is what makes the story so human. You discover that a smaller life is not necessarily an emptier one. Your brain still reacts to scarcity. Your body still feels the stress of uncertainty. But your habits can teach both of them a new message. We can handle less. And after 6 months, you may return to spending more. Or you may not, because now you know what your life actually costs. And you know that every dollar you do not automatically spend can become time, options, and breathing room. You did not live on half your salary for 6 months. You bought back a little control.